There's a type of man who doesn't follow the rules of the social game. He doesn't fight for attention. He doesn't lead or follow. He just moves through life on his own terms, quiet and focused. This is the Sigma male, and meeting one can feel a little unsettling. He doesn't care about impressing anyone. He doesn't try to fit into the usual categories of alpha or beta. In fact, he usually avoids labels altogether. He's not interested in climbing social ladders or leading the pack. He chooses his own way, alone but not lonely. Sigma males are often misunderstood. They don't talk much, but they notice everything. They don't explain themselves, but they think deeply. People are drawn to them because they're different, but that difference can feel strange, even disturbing to some. There's something about a Sigma male that's hard to read. You can't tell what he's thinking. He doesn't act the way most people do, and that mystery can make others feel unsure around him. Is he hiding something? Is he dangerous? Or is he just built differently? The truth is, Sigma males aren't here to follow anyone's path. They make their own way, and when you meet one, you may not even realize it at first. But over time, the signs start to show. The way he talks or doesn't. The way he vanishes, challenges norms, or stays calm when others lose control. These signs can be confusing. They can even feel cold or harsh. But they're also a window into how Sigma males live, think, and survive. If you've ever met someone who left you feeling unsure, someone who seemed completely out of step with everyone else, there's a chance you crossed paths with a Sigma male. This video will break down the 6 most disturbing signs that you've just met a real Sigma male. These aren't loud warnings. These are quiet signals, and once you learn to spot them, you'll understand just how different these men really are. Sign number 1. He disappears without a trace. One of the most shocking signs that you've met a real Sigma male is how easily he disappears. No warning, no goodbye. One day he's there, the next he's just gone. And it leaves people confused, even hurt. But to him, this isn't cruel. It's necessary. Sigma males don't stay where they feel controlled, misunderstood, or drained. The moment a job, relationship, or friendship starts feeling like a trap, they leave. It doesn't matter if everything looked fine on the outside. If it threatens their freedom, they're already planning their exit. This is how they protect their independence. They don't believe in explaining themselves to people who won't understand. They don't stick around to argue or fix things that feel broken. They just remove themselves and move on. Most people find this hard to understand. We're used to goodbyes. We expect closure. But Sigma males don't think that way. They believe action says more than words. And if they feel like their time or energy is being wasted, they'll cut ties without a word. It can happen in relationships. A Sigma male might seem fully involved. He's loyal, consistent, and calm. But if he starts feeling pressure to change, open up too fast, or give more than he's ready to, he shuts down. And often he walks away without warning. In friendships, it's the same. If he senses fake energy, drama, or manipulation, he won't confront it. He'll just stop responding. He doesn't feel the need to explain himself to people who don't value peace and honesty. He'd rather be alone than surrounded by noise. Even at work, he's the same way. A Sigma male may work hard, stay quiet, and do his job well. But if the environment becomes toxic or controlling, he won't complain. He won't protest. He'll just leave when the time is right. Maybe he'll have a backup plan. Maybe he won't. Either way, he trusts himself to land on his feet. This habit of disappearing can leave others feeling cold. But to the Sigma male, it's about staying true to his core needs: freedom, focus, control over his own life. These things matter more to him than keeping people comfortable. He doesn't see the point in long explanations. If someone didn't notice what was going wrong before he left, they wouldn't understand it after. So he moves on and keeps moving, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. That's what makes this sign so disturbing. It's not angry. It's not loud. It's silent. And that silence speaks volume. If someone you knew disappeared without warning, and you still can't figure out why, there's a good chance he was a Sigma male. Sign number 2. He observes more than he speaks. In most social groups, there's always someone doing most of the talking. telling stories, cracking jokes, leading the room. But then there's the guy who says almost nothing. He sits back, watches and listens. That quiet one in the corner? That might be a Sigma male. Sigma males don't speak unless they have a reason. They don't enjoy small talk. They don't interrupt. And they don't try to take over conversations. Instead, they stay quiet and pay attention. To them, silence isn't uncomfortable. It's useful. This can be disturbing for people who aren't used to it. We expect people to speak up, to laugh, agree, and keep the flow going. When someone just sits there and watches, it throws things off. It makes people wonder what he's thinking or why he's not joining in. But the Sigma male isn't being rude. He's just wired differently. He's processing everything. The tone of voices, the body language, the words people choose. He notices things others miss. And when he finally does speak, it usually carries more weight. People may try to pull him in, ask questions, push him to talk. But this rarely works. The more pressure there is to speak, the more he shuts down. He doesn't enjoy forced interaction. He prefers meaningful conversation, if it happens at all. In relationships, this can be confusing. His partner might think he's bored or disconnected, but he's actually paying close attention. He's just not reacting in the usual ways. He's taking his time, thinking deeply, waiting until the moment feels right to share. At work, it's the same. In meetings, he may not say much. But later, when he sends that one email or makes a quiet suggestion, it's sharp and effective. He doesn't speak to be heard. He speaks to add value. This quiet observation makes Sigma males hard to fool. They can read between the lines. They see through fake smiles, shallow talk, and power plays. That's why people sometimes feel nervous around them. They can't tell what the Sigma male sees, but they know he's seeing something. Over time, this silence becomes a sign of power. Not because he's trying to be mysterious, but because he's mastered the art of listening. And in a world that never stops talking, that's rare. If you've met someone who rarely speaks, but always seems aware of everything around him, someone whose silence feels stronger than most people's words, you may have just met a real Sigma male. Sign number 3, he challenges social norms. Most people follow rules without thinking. They grow up, go to school, get a job, and live life the way society expects. They want approval, security, and a sense of belonging. But a Sigma male doesn't care about fitting in. He questions everything. And if something doesn't make sense to him, he won't follow it, no matter how normal it looks to everyone else. This is what makes him stand out. He's not trying to be different just to get attention. He's different because he refuses to follow what doesn't feel right to him. He chooses his path based on logic, purpose, and his own values, not trends or outside pressure. For example, while others chase high-paying jobs or traditional success, a Sigma male might live with less money, but more freedom. He may reject titles, roles, or expectations that box him in. He's fine working alone, starting something small, or walking away from a perfect life if it feels fake. This rejection of normal paths can confuse or worry the people around him. Friends may ask, "Why don't you just settle down?" Family might say, "Everyone else is doing this, why aren't you?" But a Sigma male won't budge. He sees no point in copying a life that doesn't suit him. Even in personal style, beliefs, or behavior, he goes his own way. He may dress simply, speak directly, or avoid social media. He might live in a way that others don't understand, off-grid, remote, or constantly on the move. But for him, this is freedom. This is peace. What makes this disturbing for others is how calm he is while doing it. He doesn't ask for approval. He doesn't explain himself. He just lives his truth. And the more people try to pull him into the norm, the more he steps back. At work, this can create tension. If the office culture is fake or the rules don't make sense, he won't follow them just to blend in. He'll do what's needed, but he won't play along with politics or pretend to care about things he doesn't. He might even leave if the environment feels too controlled or phony. In relationships, it's the same. He doesn't believe in roles like man does this or woman must do that. He sees each person as free and equal. If his partner tries to mold him into a certain type, more romantic, more social, more normal, he quietly resists. This quiet defiance makes him hard to manage, hard to predict, and hard to change. He lives by his own code. And while it might seem strange to outsiders, it makes perfect sense to him. If you've met someone who calmly walks away from things others chase, who questions rules you've never even noticed, and who lives with quiet confidence in a way that seems totally out of step, you've likely met a Sigma male. Sign number 4. He maintains emotional distance. Emotional connection is a big part of human relationships. We expect people to share how they feel, show emotions, and react in familiar ways. But when someone doesn't do that, it feels strange. That's what happens when you meet a Sigma male. He's not cold, but he keeps his feelings private. And that can feel disturbing to people who are used to open emotional signals. A Sigma male doesn't express himself like most people. He may not say, "I love you," often, show excitement clearly, or respond emotionally in tough moments. He may look calm or even blank when others are feeling strong emotions. This doesn't mean he doesn't care. It means he processes things internally. He keeps his emotions controlled because it helps him stay focused. He doesn't want to be ruled by feelings. When something upsets him, he thinks it through before reacting. When something makes him happy, he enjoys it quietly. When he's sad, he deals with it alone. To many people, this feels cold. They might say he's distant, hard to read, or emotionally unavailable. But the truth is, he just handles emotions in a different way. He doesn't want to bring others into his personal space unless he trusts them deeply. And that kind of trust takes time. In romantic relationships, this can be hard. A partner may want constant emotional closeness. They may ask questions like, "What are you thinking?" or "Why won't you open up?" And the Sigma male may not have an easy answer. He's not hiding something, he just doesn't speak his feelings unless he feels completely safe. This distance is not a game or a test, it's protection. Sigma males have often learned through experience that showing emotion can be risky. It can be used against them, or it can cause them to lose control. So they keep things inside until they're sure it's safe to let them out. That doesn't mean he lacks feelings. In fact, Sigma males often feel things very deeply. But instead of reacting in the moment, they sit with their feelings. They think, reflect, and decide how to move forward without letting emotions lead. This can be hard for friends and family to accept. They may want more connection, more openness. But pushing a Sigma male to be more emotional only makes him pull back. He needs to feel free to open up when he's ready, not when someone demands it. At work, this emotional control is often seen as strength. While others get stressed or overwhelmed, the Sigma male stays calm. He doesn't panic, shout, or lose focus. He handles problems without letting them take over. And while this makes him reliable, it also makes him seem emotionally distant. That distance is part of who he is. He doesn't want to fake closeness or force connection. He'd rather stay quiet than lie about how he feels. So if you've met someone who seems steady but hard to reach, someone who listens more than he shares, someone who feels like a mystery, you've likely just met a Sigma male. Sign number 5. He operates on his own schedule. Most people live by schedules built around other people's rules. Work starts at 9. Dinner is at 7. You're expected to respond fast, show up on time, and plan your life around others. But a Sigma male doesn't follow those rules. He has his own pace and he sticks to it. This can be confusing and even frustrating for those around him. He may ignore calls, respond to texts late, or cancel plans without warning. It's not because he's careless. It's because he values control over his time more than anything else. He sees his schedule as his own, not something others get to decide for him. He works best when he can follow his own rhythm. That might mean staying up all night and sleeping late. It might mean working in short bursts instead of long hours, or it might mean disappearing for a while when he needs to reset. He's not lazy. He's focused, just not in the way most people expect. This causes problems in group settings. If he's part of a team that runs on strict deadlines or daily meetings, he may struggle to fit in. He'll do the work, and often do it well, but he wants to choose how and when he does it. Structure feels like a trap to him. In relationships, this shows up as him needing space. He may not check in every day. He may want weekends to himself or time to focus on a project. If his partner doesn't understand this, it can feel like rejection. But for the Sigma male, it's just balance. He needs that freedom to stay grounded. This also affects how he views time in general. He doesn't rush into decisions. He thinks things through. While others want quick answers or fast action, he prefers to wait until it feels right. He's not trying to stall, he's trying to avoid mistakes. He trusts his timing more than the world's clock. To others, this can feel selfish or slow. But in truth, it often leads to better results. Sigma males avoid burnout by listening to their own energy. They avoid bad choices by waiting for the right moment. And they avoid stress by refusing to live in constant urgency. If someone tries to speed him up or pressure him to meet outside expectations, he resists. Not by fighting, but by pulling away. He doesn't want to be rushed or controlled. He wants to feel free to live and work in a way that suits him. If you've met someone who always moves at his own pace, who doesn't panic under pressure, and who seems to live on a schedule no one else understands, you've probably just met a Sigma male. Sign number 6. He makes you question yourself. There's something about the way a Sigma male moves through the world that can leave people feeling unsure of themselves. It's not because he's trying to make others feel small. It's not because he says anything harsh. It's simply because his presence often forces others to take a closer look at their own choices, beliefs, and habits. A Sigma male doesn't follow the usual script. He doesn't try to impress anyone. He doesn't compete. He doesn't seek attention. And yet just being around him can cause people to feel challenged without him saying a word. That's because he holds up a mirror just by being himself. Most people are used to certain rules. Dress this way. Talk that way. Show up like everyone else. But the Sigma male doesn't care about those rules. He moves quietly, dresses simply, speaks honestly, and never tries to prove anything. That kind of confidence makes others ask, "Why do I try so hard to fit in?" You might find yourself wondering why you chase approval, why you avoid silence, why you follow routines that don't feel right. His way of living makes you reflect on your own, and that reflection can be uncomfortable, especially if you've been living by habit instead of intention. This is why being around a Sigma male can feel disturbing, even if he's kind and respectful. It's not what he says, it's how clear it is that he doesn't need what others crave. He's not tied to trends. He's not worried about opinions. He's not checking his phone for likes or praise. He just is. That level of self-trust is rare. And when someone sees it up close, it makes them question where they stand. Not because he's judging them, but because his way of life shows how different things can be when you stop trying to please everyone. In friendships, people may start to notice how often they fake a smile or hide what they really think. Around a Sigma male, that feels empty. He doesn't do surface-level connection. He listens, but he doesn't pretend. He sees straight through fake energy, and that pressure to be real can be hard for some people to handle. In relationships, it's even more intense. A partner might begin to question how much of their identity is shaped by outside expectations. The Sigma male doesn't ask for anyone to change, but his presence shows what it looks like to live fully on your own terms. That can shake someone who isn't sure of themselves. At work, a Sigma male doesn't chase titles or try to climb the ladder. He works hard, but only if it means something to him. And when others see that, they may start to ask why they've been following paths they don't believe in. Why they keep running when they're not sure where they're going. He doesn't say it out loud, but his example forces people to think. This effect is why some people feel uneasy around Sigma males. He's not aggressive. He's not rude, but his presence strips away excuses. And if you're not ready to be honest with yourself, that's uncomfortable. You either pull away or you grow. For those who are ready, this kind of challenge is a gift. Being around someone who lives with purpose, calm, and confidence can inspire real change. It can make you stronger, more focused, and more real. But it's not always easy at first. If you've ever met someone who didn't judge you but still made you think deeply, Someone who never asked for anything but somehow made you rethink everything. You probably met a Sigma male. His quiet strength pushes people to look inward, and for many that's the most disturbing sign of all. Meeting a Sigma male is not like meeting most people. He doesn't follow the usual signs. He doesn't act the way others do, and he rarely explains himself. This makes him hard to understand, and even harder to predict. But once you know what to look for, the signs are clear. He disappears when things feel wrong. He listens more than he speaks. He questions every rule. He stays emotionally guarded. He moves at his own pace. And he remains calm when everyone else falls apart. These traits don't always seem friendly. In fact, they can feel cold or strange. But they come from a place of purpose. The Sigma male is built for independence. He needs space, control, and truth. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not. He doesn't follow the crowd. He builds a life that works for him, even if it means standing alone. That's what makes him powerful. And that's what makes him disturbing to people who expect the usual. But if you pay attention, you'll see that his silence holds meaning. His distance isn't about hate, it's about safety. His strange habits aren't random. They're part of a system that keeps him strong. He's not trying to stand out. He's just not willing to blend in. Understanding a Sigma male takes patience. You can't force it. You can't push for more than he's ready to give. But if you respect his space, listen when he speaks, and stop trying to fit him into a mold, you'll see a different side. Under the calm surface is someone thoughtful, loyal, and deeply aware. This isn't someone who changes easily. He won't become more talkative because you want him to. He won't open up on your schedule. He won't follow rules just because they work for others. But if he lets you in, it's real. He means what he says, and he stands by what he believes. Sigma males may never be fully understood by the world around them, and that's fine with them. They don't need to be known by many. They just need to be understood by a few. And if you're one of those few, consider it a sign of deep trust. So, if you've just met someone who feels different, whose calm feels strong, whose silence holds weight, and whose life doesn't fit into any box, you may have just met a real Sigma male. And once you recognize these signs, you'll never see him the same way again.